Good morning and welcome to episode 1 of SEN Stream. This morning we look ahead to week 2 of semester 2. I provide links to the Roehampton conference in case you missed it. We look at a competition that's been placed on Blackboard. And we take some questions and provide answers in the chat. Guys, stay tuned to find out more. Guys, welcome to another episode of SEN Stream. Now, we're not in the usual studio today. We are actually in a spare office in the back of the open plan office where I sit. As such, we're using different kit today, but hopefully the quality is half decent. The most important thing, you can hear me, and if you can't hear me, please do let me know in the chat. Now, I've got the chat open. If you see me looking in this direction, it's because I've got a screen over there so I can see what's going on. So a few mornings are in order this morning. So we've got Adam, good morning. Thanks for joining us today. We've also got Bruno, who's come in and said hello to us. And we've also got Gillian, who's also come in and said good morning to us as well. So thank you very much for joining us for the stream this morning. I felt like I've had to almost like restart my enthusiasm for the semester over the course of this week. It's been quite busy, but for everyone, I think just making sure that all the content's on there, everything's ready to go. But it was really nice for the part-time year 2 students and the full-time students who came to the Research Methods for Health Sciences 2 session on Wednesday to talk about projects. I thought that was a really nice session to just really get sort of integrated into that kind of mentality of thinking about projects and how we're going to move things forward with regards to the semester ahead. So I'd be really interested to see what you guys took away from that session and how you're acting on that information. If anyone's happy to share some of that stuff, do let me know. And again, if someone in the chat could just let me know that you can hear me clearly, that the stream's running smoothly and all that kind of stuff, I'd be really grateful. Now, before I move on, you can just see I've got the chat open here. There is some functionality that's not going to work properly this morning, but I will do my best moving forward. So with that in mind, though, let's get on with the module updates so that we can kind of see what is going to be happening in week 2 moving forwards. So we are going to kick off with advanced performance nutrition because that's my module, and as such it would be really good to find out what's going on. So because I've set up all the video equipment just now, I'm going to take the opportunity to just kind of finish up those follow-on slides at the end of the session, which we were transitioning to looking at muscle fiber composition and the impact that has on substrate usage and energy systems, and those that are more glycolytic versus those that are more oxidative. So do keep an eye out for that video. It will roll then into a pre-lecture video for the next session, which we're going to host on Tuesday. And also I'm going to make reference to a few little notes that I just want you guys to be aware of ahead of that tutorial session that's going to be in the latter part of the session that day. So do keep an eye out for that, and then take the opportunities to undertake those readings and just keep on top of the module content as we move forward. We had a little bit of a chat in the module about the guidance documents and whether these would be available for students moving forward. But I think quite a few were a little bit apprehensive when we wanted to delve into some of that detail a little bit further. So I will make sure that all of the content for that is ready to go, and that stuff will go up on Blackboard site next week so that you guys have got the most amount of time to actually start working on some of that stuff. Now, part of that will be allocating those practice videos to you guys so that you know where to find those links and how you can access that information moving forward, so that you've got an opportunity to submit that formative assessment if you want to get a little bit of feedback on exactly how that assessment is going to go down for you. So do take the opportunity to have a look at that moving forwards. And again, if anybody's got any questions about this module, how it's going to run, how it's run in previous years, or any outstanding things that I didn't make reference to, then do let me know. I can just see up on the chat on my screen here, Bruno's come in and said, clear and sound, Mike. Excellent. Thanks very much for letting me know. It just gives a little bit of confidence that we're not like juttering all over the page, as it were. So Thanks for letting me know, Bruno. Great job. Let's move it on though to the next module. This I can't remember the order. I think it's research methods for health sciences too. Yes, with Teddy. Perfect. So now that you've had an introduction to the module and you've had the opportunity to see what the module is going to cover, you'll know that the design study is a key assessment that you guys are going to be working towards throughout this semester. So Teddy's just made the recommendation that next week's session is going to be run by myself in the first portion of the session, and then followed on with a workshop with Liza, who's going to build on some of those principles. So we're actually talking about what makes a good design study. So those slides, again, will be going up on Blackboard this afternoon and give you a bit of time to have a look through that content. But essentially, we're going to be looking at, well, what different elements of a research project do you need to be thinking about up front? And how is the best way that you can present that information to ensure that you have a successful project moving forwards? Because the more planning and thinking and troubleshooting and sort of ideas generation that you can think of up front will really help you to sort of streamline and keep that project nice and smooth moving forward. Teddy's also made the recommendation here that to start having a bit of a read around the subject and using some of the recommended readings materials that he's provided on Blackboard and specifically within one of the week 2 folders. As I mentioned during the short discussion in the session on Wednesday, the supervisors will be taking an opportunity to just touch bases with each other in this coming week. And the reason being is just to make sure that everybody across the entire module, all of the different supervisors are all on the same page when it comes to what we're expecting in the dissertation, how long each supervisor needs to spend with each student. And therefore, it's very clear exactly what everyone is doing, because there is potential there for a little bit of disparity with regards to how supervisors approach projects. So we try and keep that as smooth and consistent as we possibly can to ensure that you guys all have an equal opportunity moving forward. So it's quite a key meeting for supervisors, and the outcomes of that will be that the dissertation guideline documents will be made available to you as a result of that meeting, just so everyone's had the opportunity to kind of thrash out some of the details. Now, some of you may have had a look at last year's guidance documents, and if you've downloaded those, I'd probably just get rid of them, because the chances are some of the content may change and you don't want to be getting confused about that. So if you did see any of last year's content, maybe just get rid of it and politely ignore it until we get the new fresh stuff out, so that you guys know exactly where you need to be aiming and where you need to be focusing your efforts moving forwards. Now, as I've said, you've all had your dissertation supervisor given to you, if you've and hopefully everyone's happy with what allocations they've been given. I was very keen to make sure that you guys were aligned properly to ensure that your projects are supported by the best members of staff for the projects that you've come across. So just be aware that, you know, the conversation isn't, it doesn't just stop here. You know, there will be an ongoing discussion and conversation where you're arranging meetings with your supervisor, you're sending through readings or like short suggestions, and maybe even some ideas around the structure, what your particular research project is going to take place. And you know, the more proactive you are, the more sort of that you come to a meeting and say, well, actually, I've had a look at this. I put a small design study together for that. I came up with this protocol. What do you think? It's based off this reading, this reading, this reading. Those are all really good things to be doing ahead of a supervisor's meeting to make sure that you are taking responsibility for your project and you keep pushing it forwards, because that's the important part of doing a project at level 7. So an exciting module ahead. Please do take the opportunity to come across to that what makes it a good design study session with myself. And then obviously Liza will follow that up with a workshop after the fact. So that's research methods for health sciences 2. Moving on to assessment of health and fitness. I'm very jealous of Jane's module leadership role in this particular module, because it's a really fun module to do. Now, she's already, it's a strange one because you will have only just had the last session yesterday on assessment of health and fitness. But looking ahead to next Thursday, you guys are going to be taking the opportunity to look at some of those physiological assessments. But thinking about how you can take those basic assessments, but do them accurately in a repeatable manner, and also to ensure that they're actually measuring what you intend for them to measure. So things like resting heart rate, blood pressure, using the wire size, so using finger prick blood samples to determine blood glucose concentration and blood lactate, ensuring that you're actually sampling whole blood and not interstitial fluid, and Jane will pick up on some of the technique around that. These are really important skills because a lot of them are baseline assessments for lots of different physiological assessments you would make of someone's fitness status. For example, if you want to take a fasting glucose sample from someone, you're going to have to be able to get some blood from them in some way. So a finger prick blood sample is important for that. And similarly, if you're going to be undertaking some lactate threshold assessment to determine what endurance training state your individual is in, and whether an intervention you're going to utilize, whether it's training and nutrition or training and nutrition, is going to influence and impact that as almost like a key performance indicator, then obviously you need to be able to extract some blood from somewhere so that you can measure the lactate concentration moving forward. You'll also get a chance to do a little bit more practice with the bod pod, which again, if you're going to do any body composition assessments on your participants, then that's a really great method. It's non-invasive. It's a little bit invasive from the sense of, you've got to get all your kit off, but you can counter that by using tight-fitting clothing where possible. So a really nice opportunity to go through some of those assessments. And then in the final part, Jane's looking ahead to the assessment you're going to do on this particular module, which is your critical presentation. So what does the structure of that presentation look like, and what should the content include? So those are some really important factors to think about moving ahead in that particular module. I'm going to take a quick break. Let's head across and see if the chat function is working. It's not a guarantee that it will, but let's have a look. Now I've got my live chat box here, and I'm curious to know whether it is actually going to come up. Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to have much success here. So let me go across to my other scene and have a quick look. Good stuff. Let's make this nice and big. Fran has come in and joined us as well. Good morning, Fran. Thanks for joining the stream this morning. Great to have you involved and on board even more. Again, you guys, any questions, just fire them in. I know we're only just kind of starting semester 2, as it were, so you might just be sort of finding your feet yourselves. But if you do have any questions about any of the modules and you want me to feed that on, then please do let me know, and we'll go from there. We've got Philippa who's come in, and my chat's working here even, which is good. Good morning, Philippa. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us this morning. Any questions, again, fire away, and then we can carry on the conversation from there. Okay, let me go back to the module updates. Just going to switch some of my functions back on so that I can actually see any comments that come in. Perfect. Cool. We've got the last module we need to talk about is nutritional assessment, which is hosted by Claire. This isn't Claire, just FYI, this is Justin. So we need to find a nice little picture of Claire to put up there as well. But essentially, oh, sorry, I've made a mistake there. Let's go back. Excellent. So Justin Haroon is going to be taking the session here, and he's going to be looking at psychometrics. So this is a little bit out with my knowledge range, so I'm not going to talk with any degree of authority on any of these topics, and that's why Justin is doing this session for you. But there's going to be focusing on questionnaires in relation to health and well-being, which includes factors around nutrition, exercise, health, and attitudes. He's also then going to move on to why professionals, academics, and others might use questionnaires, whether that's in practice, whether that's in a focus group, or whether that is in a research project, which is going to be excellent. Now, obviously, a questionnaire needs designing in some way. So considering factors like the coherence of the question or the statement that you've put in there, the ease of use. So if a participant or an individual is trying to complete it, that they actually know how to complete it, and therefore you get a degree of consistency, repeatability, and validity from the sense that your participants can actually understand what the question that you're asking and how useful those questions that you are asking are. Now, when I was floating around the table with regards to research projects coming up, I did notice that quite a few of you are actually thinking of utilizing questionnaires within your research. So this is going to be a really key session for you guys to get yourselves to, so that you're aware and conscious of any implications of using of using questionnaires within your research moving forward. Sorry, just keeping an eye on the chat so I know who's saying what and when. Now, obviously you need to reflect on some of the history of questionnaires, where they come from, what's the principle of them, is there any frameworks that you can operate within when you come up to think about doing a questionnaire? And then obviously the validation and theory of questionnaires. So how do you actually get a questionnaire from conception of idea all the way through to its implementation to the point where someone is actually utilizing the questionnaire to fulfill a purpose and function? So an excellent session. Great to have Justin contributing to this particular module. Get yourselves down there and get involved as always. Now, let me head back over to the chat and see if there is any questions coming in. Now, I've been mindful this year, guys, to make sure that we are being very time sensitive with regards to the stream this year, because I felt last year I was going on a little bit. I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger, but it's just not having it, I'm afraid. But yeah, any questions that you guys have got, fire away, let me know. Quite a range of different assessments this semester. So just bear that in mind, that you're going to be tested across the different ways, whether that's an exam, whether that's a presentation, whether that's a portfolio submission, whether that's recording a video, whatever it's going to be. Obviously, I'm trying to talk to you all at the same time here because I appreciate some of you are only doing half the modules available, and that's absolutely fine. But yeah, any questions, any queries, concerns, give me a shout. Now, with that in mind, I thought, now I know this only affects half of you, so there's only 10 people doing a project from what I understand this year, and as such I want to do this kind of little bit of a series which is called Research Project KIOT, which is keeping you on track. Now, as a result of doing that session on Wednesday, you guys were given that kind of research project or research proposal sheet, and it was essentially a good way of ensuring that you had a framework and start to think about, well, what's your question? What question are you actually asking? And similarly, what do you currently know about that particular field and what you don't know, which would then give you a framework in which to operate in. So to determine, well, these are the things that I do know about that area, and here's some of the things that I might need to go away and find out, which gives you a direction of travel in terms of, well, what do I need to do next? And that's, that's a cyclical process. You will constantly update the bit where what do we know, and the bits where you don't know. And hopefully that list of things that you don't know becomes smaller and smaller. And ultimately you'll be left with a few statements on there, which hopefully will be the real core element of what your question is going to answer in your research project. So it's a really nice way of sort of structuring your thoughts around exactly how you're going to go about undertaking your question. I can see a question has come in here, which is excellent. Fran asks, will there be an opportunity to run some physiological tests on ourselves? I've done some tests in the past, but I'm keen to test myself on others. From what I understand in assessment of health and fitness, you guys are going to be responsible for undertaking the practicing and assessment on each other. And as such, Fran, if you were particularly keen on a given assessment, whether that's VO2 max, lactate threshold, blood sampling, body composition assessment, wind gates, vertical jump, whatever it's going to be, we're going to need some people to actually undertake that within the sessions itself. So therefore, it would be a good opportunity to volunteer. One of the most frustrating things, I run a level 5 physiology module, and sometimes my students all rock up in like jeans and shirts and blouses and dresses, and it's like when you turn up to these sessions, you need to come prepared to exercise, because otherwise all of those different items of clothing, irrespective of gender, is going to restrict you from doing that. So for those people who are keen to have testing done, then yeah, turn up to be tested and you'll have a pretty good opportunity to do that. Another way of doing this, and I have to frame this from the perspective of, you are your own entity, you can make your own decisions about what you choose to do with your life and your person. But ultimately, you guys will be looking to recruit people on your research trials. And as fully autonomous individuals, you should be able to make a decision as to whether you want to take part in any given advertised project across the university. So as such, if you see a research project that you think, well, I could be a participant for that, and you within yourself are happy for that to volunteer, then that would be another opportunity for you to get some testing done if you were so interested in doing so. But that's your choice. You are a free autonomous individual to do as you so please with your life. So do bear that in mind. And that goes, why am I speaking like that? It's a very strange way to speak like that. But essentially, we don't want to be coercing or suggesting that people have to take part in research projects. You don't. You can do whatever you want with your own life and person. And you won't be treated favorably if you take part, and you won't be treated negatively if you don't take part. It's just a case of, if you want to take part in a research project and you are happy to do so under the circumstances presented, then it's your choice. You can do that. Excellent. Right, let's move it on because we're getting a bit heavy there. It's all getting a bit serious. So yeah, so that cyclical nature of like thinking about what you know, what you don't know, and then narrowing it down into a research question is going to be the kind of the direction you want to travel in. And I also suggested to a few of you as well that it's almost like you've got your question in mind. Now you need to think about the variables you're going to be collecting and then projecting ahead with some of the knowledge you've gained in research methods for health sciences 1. And thinking about exactly what it is that you need to do to that data. So from a statistical analysis perspective, what types of design have you got? Have you got 2 groups? Have you got repeated measures? Are they distinct groups? Are they comparable? And then how would you present that information if you were to put it into a results section? Would you present it alongside other variables? Would you do it as a correlation? Would you do it as a multi-plot figure with A, B, C, and D, which are all similar parameters? Or if you absolutely no idea, have a look at the research papers that you've been looking through and see what variables that they present. And typically it should align really with what your primary, secondary, and tertiary outcomes are of your project. So you'll have that one primary thing that you're trying to answer, and then the secondary and the tertiary things are helping to add value to that outcome. So for example, your outcome might be performance improvement, of which secondary outcomes could be the metabolic underpinnings as to why that particular performance has occurred, and your tertiary outcomes could be, well, how did the person feel when they were doing that particular type of assessment? So if you think about it in that way, it starts getting you to think about your project in a logical order and makes it so you can build it moving forward. So just a little bit of advice there. Moving on. Let's move it on though and think about some other stuff. So thank you very much for the showing at the research conference at the University of Roehampton. You guys were super professional. On arrival, how you conducted yourselves while you were there, particularly in the poster session as well. You've taken the opportunity to talk to different members of staff, some of the old alumni, and also different people in the room as well. So that was excellent, and thank you very much for doing that. For those of you that didn't make it or would like to revisit the session, they've actually released a link. Now let me grab this link. Sorry, I've just done a bad thing there. I need to change these transitions because they're not really working out for me. Let me post this in the chat, and then at least you guys can follow up with that should you wish to do so. But essentially this link will take you to their page. If we head across there now, I can see myself talking, which is absolute horror show. And you can see this is loading just now. Hopefully this will work. Let's give it a minute. I'm asking my computer to do quite a lot of things here, so this may or may not work. So I'm now thinking that's not the correct link, but there we are. I think we should be good. Sorry, we're having a bit of an issue here. Let's see if we just click it and see what happens. Oh no, I'm gonna lose my chat. Could someone let me know whether that link works? Because I feel like it's not working, which is not good. Yeah, here we go. Let me try that again. Here we go. Yeah, I've got the video settings on well low, but it's not the end of the world. But you can see here that if you head across to the page, they had a camera set up on the day. and you get the opportunity to just revisit some of the content from that session. So do take the opportunity, because there was really nice talks during that particular session. And if there was a link that you missed, or there was something that you just wanted to follow up with, then at least you'd have the opportunity to do that moving forward. Right, I'm going to sack this off because it's absolutely destroying my computer. So yeah, take a look, revisit the sessions and see how you get on. I apologize for the breakdown in the stream there. Hopefully things should come back to normal now that I've got rid of it. This is the problem with trying to do what is essentially production level stuff on a work computer, but never mind. Okay, let's move it on though. So from the current slide. So if you want to follow up with that, then that would be fantastic. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it, there's a 4.5 hour video for you to watch there, which you might want to break down into little manageable chunks. Right, moving it swiftly on. On the 2 full-time and the part-time Blackboard sites, I posted a link to a current competition that is available only to University of Westminster students, undergrads and postgrads, I believe, to undertake this particular competition. Now, I'm curious to know if anyone has taken up the opportunity to do this, simply because the applicability to some of you is actually pretty good. So when you click on the link from the Blackboard site, you can see here that we've got the big idea: innovate, ideate, apparently, and accelerate. So University and Santander have got together to do this particular competition. So the innovation category is suited to students and graduates who are seeking hands-on work experience working with a startup to resolve a commercial problem, or innovate to identify new market opportunities. And there's 3 different opportunities to look through here. And I believe you can look at each of the brief. Yeah, so if we look at the different briefs here. So the foundational health brief, let's have a quick look. So it's an all-in-one wellness package based in London, which aims to serve entrepreneurs and startup teams as they dedicate themselves to building. We aim to empower sustainable and positive entrepreneurship by providing both mental and physical health practitioners. Foundational aims to assist these teams by providing the support. The challenge, as it stands, the platform B2B is a B2B product. Venture capital firms purchase a subscription for their portfolio companies. Therefore, a customer is the VC and the users are the startup teams themselves. We want to expand Foundational as an offering for solo founders, contract and freelancers. We would also like to find out how to make Foundational a formal, attractive offering to the freelance community. So if you've got any ideas around that particular thing, particularly considering it's a health and wellness package, then do submit your options and go from there. Now, the Pixel Pond is all about design, I believe, and then you've got the Red January one. So I think the Red January one is a little bit more applicable to you guys. So they're a company that tries to ensure that your fitness goal continues beyond January. And as such, let's have a quick read. So in terms of the challenge, one of our ambitions for Red January is to become a global movement that empowers individuals that incorporate physical activity into their life to support their mental health and well-being. The challenge is, how do we get from being a UK-based initiative in partnership with a leading UK mental health charity to making our red mark on other countries? Now, we have quite an international outlook on our course, and if you guys were to team together to try and tackle this problem, you might be in a pretty good place to be able to try and do that. Now, if you are keen, you need to get your heads together pretty fast, because the deadline for this is on the 31st. But I just wanted to highlight these opportunities for you. There's a £1,000 prize at the end of it, so it's worth a little bit of effort if you feel you've got a little capacity and time to do it. And as such, you've got 7 days, 5 hours and 28 minutes remaining in order to undertake that. So if anybody is undertaking that, then do take the opportunity. I think you've got to put a video together based on the idea. So here we go. Record and upload a 2-minute video pitch onto YouTube, then copy and paste the video URL into the application form. Your video pitch should be outlining the initial solution and you propose for the brief. Click here to see guidance on how to produce and structure your pitch video. Let's have a quick look. Why not? There we go. So there's a little bit of a guidance document there for you guys to take a look at as well. So if you're interested, get involved, because what a great opportunity to get involved with a particular company, particularly around health, well-being, physical activity, and also making it a commercial entity and a commercial opportunity for yourself moving forward. So if you're interested, put your heads together as an intelligent, informed group of individuals and see what you come up with. A 2-minute video is not a huge amount of effort to put into trying to progress your career. So yeah, good luck if you do take part, and let me know, and any other staff members if you do intend to take part. So I apologize, we went on for a little bit of a waffle there, but I thought it was worth investing a bit of time and effort into it. Let's see if my chat's going to work, and if not, we'll just scoot back over. It does work, but it looks dreadful. Oh dear. Excellent. Okay, I don't know why it looks rubbish, but it looks rubbish. But there we are. So if anybody has any questions, then please do feel to fire away and let me know what they are. Like I say, it's half of this week for everyone is just making sure that we all get back involved and get up to speed, find out what lectures we're in, where we need to be, and when we need to be there. Now, I know some of you have been in touch with regards to some issues. I'm not going to be too specific as to what they are, but just to let you know that I have followed up with every issue that's been brought to my attention. And if you haven't already received an update, then the chances are I'll be in touch with you as soon as possible to let you know what is going on. So if that is you, thank you for letting me know if there's any issues, and I've tried to do my best to sort them out with the relevant members of staff involved. I'm going to change the live chat because it just looks dreadful. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We can see what's going on. So yeah. So again, we're already 1 week into a 12-week long semester, and lots of challenges ahead of us, but I think we're going to do a great job. With regards to the SEN stream, we are going to run every Friday at 11 o'clock, irrespective of whether we have a studio available to us or not. But hopefully the stream hasn't been too bad today, and we can keep things moving forward. And if anybody does have any specific questions, then just post them in the chat now, and we can go from there. It's always a nervous one, waiting for stuff to come in. While I'm waiting for that, I saw some really interesting stuff coming out recently, and so I saw a paper by let's get a browser up and let's start having a look while I wait for some questions to come in. Haven't done a tweet of the week this week, but I suspect this may form that particular section. So let's have a look at some stuff that I've been looking at this week. Now, there's a paper that I've been trying to get access to. Unfortunately, I haven't managed to do that. Let's have a look. Lewis James from Loughborough University, who presented at the Roehampton conference, has been doing some interesting work with regards to the pectin ingestion stuff. So here we are. Addition of sodium alginate and pectin to a carbohydrate electrolyte solution does not influence substrate oxidation, gastrointestinal comfort, or cycling performance, which I thought was quite interesting. The trouble is I cannot get access to this paper, so I might have to order it through the library. Let me see if we can get on this. No, unfortunately not. But essentially, there's a lot of fuss about including alginate pectin, try and hide the carbs from your stomach as it moves through. But no one seems to have done anything beyond that as it stands. So let me send a link to this to you guys. You can take a look. Do take a look at that one. Another interesting study that I came across was from the James Morton group. See if we can get him up. James Morton, here he is. They had a real nice study looking at post-exercise regulation of acute markers of bone turnover as regulated by carbohydrate availability, but not energy availability. This was published in the Journal of Physiology, so that's a pretty good place to go. Let me get a link to this for you guys so you can see where it's come from. Nice, interesting study. considering the role that carbohydrate plays in bone turnover markers. It's an interesting factor, particularly for endurance athletes who are turning over calcium quite readily most of the time. So those were a couple of things. Here is another popular article that I came across. There was news this a couple of weeks back of an MMA fighter who tried to lose a dramatic amount of weight to make weight for his fight, and I believe once he'd got hit, that he was put into a state of severe trauma as a result of his dramatic weight loss intervention in the days before the fight. And it's kind of highlighted by the like dangerous practices in sports nutrition. So again, if you wanted to inform yourselves a little bit more about that, then do go and take a look, because that was an interesting little example here. Philip has asked a question. Thanks, Philippa. Let's head over to the chat right now. So Philip has asked, regarding the video consultation in pairs, so this is for advanced performance nutrition, which is for part-time year 1 students and full-time students. So re-video consultation in pairs for your module. Is there an age limit for our athlete thinking, adolescent? Yeah, okay, that could be tricky. Anyone who's under 18, they're going to need parental permission for all sorts of things. And as such, if you can maybe avoid that, that would probably be a winner. However, I don't know what the regulatory framework is around doing that, because we don't tend to have people who are under 18 coming in. If there's no other option, then get in touch with me, but I'd probably look at a different option. Make your life easier, make my life easier. So yeah, to try and find somebody else, and if it's impossible, then come back to me and we'll see if we can try and do something about that moving forwards. But good question, yeah. Trying to think of example, like I have to say, most examples that people did yesterday, there was some personal connection to the student, whether it was a parent, a brother, or a cousin, or just a friend, which is why we swap, because there is pressure. I know a lot of you are for international students, and as such, you might not have that social network of people who are readily available to do a nutrition consultation, which is videoed. And as such, you try and make the most of the people and the access of people that you've got. But that's why we swap, because it means that you only have the information presented in the video to form your assessment on, and that's fair. Like I say, as soon as you start getting these real personal relationships with people, it becomes more and more challenging to write your assessment, because there's a lot of assumed knowledge there. So yeah, do bear that in mind. But thank you for your question. Super good question. Excellent. We've got 6 people still watching, so thank you for watching, folks. Again, I mean, I could continue looking down my Twitter stream, or we could maybe start thinking of calling it a day. So thinking ahead to next week, SENstream, I do the module updates every week, and as such, you know, that's kind of like the core backbone of SENstream, and then anything that's more module specific that warrants a bit more time. But if there's specific things that you want to cover, if you send me an email or put a comment on the video, I can then try and line up content. As long as I've got enough time, I can try and line up content to try and facilitate a conversation you guys might want to have. I don't always know what you guys are talking about out with the class, whereas if you wanted a more informed conversation about a given topic, then maybe we could go about doing that. So if there is anything that springs to mind that people want to cover, then let me know. It could be presentation techniques, or how do you put a poster together, or you know, I'm thinking of setting up a website. I don't know, like insert problem here. And then we can see if we can find some interesting resources to try and help you guys out a little bit. But unless I know what those things are, I can't really do anything about it. So yeah, if there's anything that anyone can think of that they want to me to talk about, that would be absolutely fine. I will wait just a couple more minutes and wrap up the sessions. If there are any recommendations that come in, do let me know. But just thinking back to what happened that's going to be happening next week. So again, there'll be some readings and videos to watch ahead of Advanced Performance Nutrition next week. So do have a look at that. Ahead of, well, you've got a bit of reading to do from Teddy in the recommended reading. Start reading about the idea of running a research project, and then come across to the sessions with myself and Liza on the Wednesday session. Assessment, health and fitness, you're going to be taking a hands-on approach to undertaking some basic physiological assessments of people. Come prepared to exercise or to have samples taken from you. Or if you're thinking you want to have a bod pod assessment done, then obviously bring appropriate equipment and kit for that. Nutritional assessment, you'll have it with Justin, and he will be taking the opportunity to look through questionnaires, why you use them, how you design them, and how you validate them. And yeah, all the time for anyone doing a research project, just keep that in the back of your mind, thinking about how you can keep advancing your project forward in the meantime. But with that in mind, guys, as nothing else has come in, I will probably call it a day from there. Thank you very much for watching this first edition. Things will get a little bit more slick and interesting as the semester moves on. Other than that, have a nice weekend and looking forward to seeing you all in week 2 of semester 2. Thanks very much, guys. Take it easy and see you next week.